When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Angelo's message here reflects a powerful approach to handling toxic people, recognizing and accepting their true nature without trying to change or rationalize their behavior. Instead of giving second chances to those who repeatedly hurt or manipulate, she advocates trusting your instincts and setting healthy boundaries. Toxic people. Most of us have encountered them at some point in our lives. They come in various forms: a manipulative colleague, an overbearing friend, or even a family member who seems to drain the energy out of every room they enter. Dealing with toxic people can be one of the most challenging aspects of life, as their negative influence can undermine your mental, emotional, and even physical well-being. But it doesn't have to be that way. In this video, we'll discuss 9 powerful strategies that will help you not only recognize, but also effectively deal with toxic individuals, ensuring that their presence in your life is minimized or managed in a way that doesn't harm you. Understanding toxicity. Before diving into the strategies, it's important to understand what we mean by toxic people. Toxicity can manifest in many ways, from overtly aggressive behavior to subtle manipulative tactics that leave you questioning your own reality. Toxic individuals often possess traits such as narcissism, chronic negativity, manipulation, and lack of empathy. Recognizing these traits is the first step toward protecting yourself. The psychological profile of toxic people. Toxic people often exhibit certain psychological traits that set them apart. For example, they might have a high level of self-centeredness, always putting their needs above others. They could be manipulative, using guilt or other tactics to control those around them. Some may have a victim mentality, constantly blaming others for their problems, while others might be relentless in their pursuit of control over every situation. Understanding the psychological profile of toxic people allows you to see through their behavior. Instead of getting drawn into their drama, you can take a step back and recognize the patterns that make them toxic. This understanding is crucial because it depersonalizes their actions, helping you realize that their toxicity is more about them than it is about you. Strategy 1. Set clear boundaries. The first strategy in dealing with toxic people is to set clear boundaries. Boundaries are essential in any relationship, but they become even more crucial when dealing with someone who tends to overstep them. Toxic people often thrive on crossing boundaries, testing limits, and pushing you beyond your comfort zone. Why boundaries are essential. Boundaries serve as a protective shield. They define what is acceptable and what isn't in your interactions with others. When dealing with toxic people, boundaries prevent them from taking advantage of your kindness, patience, or empathy. They send a clear message. This is where I draw the line and you cannot cross it. How to set boundaries. Setting boundaries with toxic people requires clarity and consistency. Start by identifying the behaviors that you find unacceptable. This could be anything from constant negativity to manipulative tactics. Once you've identified these behaviors, communicate your boundaries clearly. Use I statements to express your feelings and what you need to change. For example, I feel uncomfortable when you constantly criticize me. I need you to stop doing that. Enforcing boundaries is just as important as setting them. Toxic people may push back or test your limits, but it's essential to stand firm. Consistency in enforcing your boundaries will eventually lead them to respect your limits, or, if they can't, they may choose to distance themselves. Strategy 2. Limit your exposure. While setting boundaries is crucial, there are times when you may need to limit your exposure to toxic individuals altogether. This doesn't necessarily mean cutting them out of your life completely, although, in some cases, that may be necessary, but rather, minimizing the time and energy you invest in interactions with them. The importance of protecting your energy. Toxic people can be emotionally and mentally draining. They often leave you feeling exhausted, anxious, or even depressed after an interaction. By limiting your exposure to such individuals, you protect your energy and emotional well-being. Remember, your mental health is just as important as your physical health. Practical ways to limit exposure. There are several ways to limit your exposure to toxic people. For instance, you can choose to interact with them in group settings rather than one-on-one, where their negative influence is diluted. If the toxic person is a colleague, try to avoid unnecessary interactions by focusing on work tasks and keeping conversations professional and brief. In social settings, you can politely excuse yourself or keep your distance without being rude. In more severe cases, such as with toxic family members, limiting exposure might involve reducing contact or setting specific times for communication. It's about finding a balance that allows you to maintain your well-being while still managing necessary interactions. Strategy 3. Don't engage in their drama. Toxic people thrive on drama. They often create conflicts, stir up tension, and try to pull others into their chaos. Engaging in their drama only fuels their toxic behavior, giving them the attention and power they crave. Recognizing the drama cycle. Toxic individuals often operate in a cycle of drama. They create problems, escalate situations, and then play the victim or aggressor to keep the cycle going. Recognizing this pattern is crucial to avoiding getting sucked into it. Once you see the cycle for what it is, you can choose not to participate. How to stay out of the drama. Staying out of the drama requires conscious effort. When a toxic person tries to bait you into an argument or conflict, take a step back. Don't react emotionally or get defensive. Instead, respond calmly and assertively, or simply don't engage at all. For example, if someone is trying to provoke you with hurtful comments, you can calmly say, "I'm not going to engage in this conversation," and walk away. Another tactic is to redirect the conversation. If a toxic person is trying to drag you into a negative discussion, steer the conversation towards something more neutral or positive. This deprives them of the satisfaction of seeing you react to their provocations. Strategy 4. Practice emotional detachment. Emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop caring about people. Rather, it's about not letting their negative emotions or behavior affect your own emotional state. Toxic people often try to manipulate others by playing on their emotions, but when you practice emotional detachment, you shield yourself from this manipulation. Understanding emotional detachment. Emotional detachment is the ability to separate your emotions from someone else's behavior. It's about maintaining your own emotional equilibrium, even when the other person is acting out. This doesn't mean you become cold or indifferent. Instead, you learn to observe without absorbing their negativity. Techniques for emotional detachment. One technique for emotional detachment is mindfulness. By staying present and aware of your emotions, you can catch yourself before getting drawn into someone else's negativity. For example, if a toxic person is trying to make you feel guilty or anxious, take a deep breath and remind yourself that their emotions are not your responsibility. Another technique is cognitive reframing. This involves changing the way you perceive a situation. Instead of seeing a toxic person's behavior as a personal attack, reframe it as a reflection of their own issues. This shift in perspective can help you maintain your emotional distance and prevent their behavior from affecting your mood. Strategy 5. Seek support. Dealing with toxic people can be incredibly challenging, especially if you're trying to do it alone. Seeking support from others, whether it's friends, family, or a professional, can provide you with the strength and perspective you need to navigate these difficult relationships. The role of a support system. A strong support system can offer validation, advice, and a sense of solidarity. When you're dealing with a toxic person, it's easy to start doubting yourself or feeling isolated. Having someone to talk to can help you process your emotions and reinforce your boundaries. How to build and utilize your support system. Start by identifying the people in your life who are supportive and trustworthy. These might be friends who always have your back, family members who offer wise advice, or even a therapist who can provide professional guidance. Reach out to them and share what you're going through. Don't be afraid to ask for help, whether it's someone to talk to after a difficult interaction, or advice on how to handle a specific situation. Additionally, consider joining a support group. There are many groups, both online and in person, where people share their experiences with toxic relationships. These groups can offer a sense of community and understanding, reminding you that you're not alone in your struggles. Strategy 6. Focus on self-care. When dealing with toxic people, it's easy to become so focused on their behavior that you neglect your own needs. That's why focusing on self-care is an essential strategy. Taking care of your mental, emotional, and physical well-being ensures that you have the strength and resilience to deal with toxic individuals without being overwhelmed. The importance of self-care. Self-care is about more than just pampering yourself. It's about prioritizing your well-being. When you're dealing with toxic people, self-care helps you maintain your energy, reduce stress, and stay grounded. It's a way of reinforcing the message that your needs and health are important. Practical self-care tips. Self-care can take many forms. Physically, it might involve regular exercise, a healthy diet, and getting enough sleep. Emotionally, it could mean journaling, meditating, or spending time with loved ones who lift you up. Mentally, it might involve setting aside time for hobbies, reading, or other activities that bring you joy. It's also important to practice self-compassion. Dealing with toxic people can be draining, and it's easy to be hard on yourself if you feel overwhelmed. Remind yourself that it's okay to take a step back, ask for help, or even make mistakes. What matters is that you're taking steps to protect your well-being. Strategy 7. Communicate effectively. Effective communication is key when dealing with toxic people. Clear, assertive communication can help you express your needs, set boundaries, and prevent misunderstandings. However, communicating with toxic individuals can be tricky, as they may twist your words or use them against you. The art of assertive communication. Assertive communication involves expressing your thoughts and feelings clearly and confidently, without being aggressive or passive. It's about standing up for yourself while respecting the other person. When dealing with toxic people, assertive communication can help you maintain control of the conversation and prevent them from manipulating you. Techniques for communicating with toxic people. When communicating with a toxic person, it's important to stay calm and focused. Avoid getting drawn into arguments or emotional outbursts, as these can escalate the situation. Instead, stick to the facts and use I statements to express your feelings. For example, "I feel disrespected when you speak to me in that tone." It's also helpful to be concise. Toxic people may try to derail the conversation or twist your words, so keep your statements brief and to the point. If they try to sidetrack the discussion, gently steer it back to the main issue. Finally, don't be afraid to end the conversation if it's going nowhere. If the toxic person continues to be aggressive or uncooperative, calmly state that the conversation is over and walk away. Strategy 8. Know when to walk away. There are times when the best strategy for dealing with a toxic person is to walk away. This can be one of the most difficult decisions to make, especially if the toxic person is someone close to you, like a family member or longtime friend. However, in some cases, it's the only way to protect your well-being, recognizing when it's time to leave. Knowing when to walk away involves recognizing that some relationships are beyond repair. If a toxic person consistently disrespects your boundaries, refuses to change their behavior, or continues to harm you emotionally or mentally, it may be time to end the relationship. Walking away doesn't mean you failed. It means you're choosing to prioritize your health and happiness. It's a sign of strength, not weakness, to recognize that you deserve better. How to walk away gracefully. Walking away gracefully means leaving the situation with dignity and without unnecessary drama. If you decide to end the relationship, be clear and firm about your decision. You don't need to provide a lengthy explanation, simply state that you're choosing to move on for your own well-being. If possible, leave the door open for reconciliation, but only if the toxic person shows a genuine willingness to change. Otherwise, focus on moving forward and healing from the experience. Strategy 9. Reflect and grow. The final strategy for dealing with toxic people is to reflect on the experience and use it as an opportunity for growth. Toxic relationships can be painful, but they can also teach you valuable lessons about yourself, your boundaries, and what you want in your relationships. The power of reflection. After dealing with a toxic person, take some time to reflect on the experience. What did you learn about yourself? How did you handle the situation? And what would you do differently next time? Reflection helps you gain insight into your own behavior and emotions, allowing you to grow from the experience. Moving forward with strength. As you move forward, use the lessons you've learned to strengthen your future relationships. Recognize the signs of toxicity early on, set clear boundaries from the beginning, and don't be afraid to prioritize your well-being. Remember, dealing with toxic people is a skill that you can develop over time. The more you practice these strategies, the better equipped you'll be to handle difficult relationships in the future. And most importantly, you'll become more resilient, confident, and empowered in all areas of your life. Dealing with toxic people is never easy, but it's a challenge that can be overcome with the right strategies. By understanding toxicity, setting boundaries, limiting exposure, and practicing emotional detachment, you can protect yourself from their negative influence. Seeking support, focusing on self-care, communicating effectively, knowing when to walk away, and reflecting on your experiences will further empower you to navigate these difficult relationships. Remember, your well-being is paramount. You have the right to a life free from toxic influences, and by applying these strategies, you can take control of your interactions and create a healthier, happier life. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content on personal growth and empowerment.